I know some of you gentlemen are chasing that super close head shave finish from an electric shaver that provides that manual razor type of closeness. But with the rotary shavers, the dedicated head shavers that I test and use, they don't usually give us a super close head shave like that. We kind of end up with some slight stubble left, which I call a fine sandpapery feel. Now the shaver that we're taking a look at today is Aberlite Touch 2, aims to get us that closeness. It's a twin file shaver that aims to give us 60% closer shave than a rotary style shaver, so Aberlite says. So I've used it a good few times now, head shaving and doing a facial shaving, and what I'm going to do is run through the pros and cons of the feature, the design, of what I think about this shaver. I'm also going to run through a head shave and maybe do a little bit of a facial shave so you guys can see how it performs and see the results from it. And we'll wrap it up with a little bit of feedback. So the company Aberlite is marketing this as a finishing tool, which is kind of similar to the Babyliss Titanium, like this type of shaver, or the Andis profile shavers. So them shavers are usually used as barbershop shavers, where they finish off fades on haircuts, and they're kind of finishing tools. However, Aberlite also says this can be used as your go-to head shaver. This is something that Aberlite states. It says file versus rotary. Unlike standard rotary shavers, they mean like these dedicated head shavers, the Touch 2 uses 0.5mm ultra thin files. This allows it to cut 4 to 6 times closer, well that's some claim, isn't it, to the skin than rotary shavers, providing a razor close finish without the blade touching your skin, meaning the manual razor blade. Well, forgetting about those numbers, in my case that's pretty much true. It does kind of give a razor close shave, which we'll see in the demo shave that I do. So Aberlite are covering 2 people really that could potentially, this shaver could be potentially good for, and that's for those that can use this shaver alone, just like this Babyliss Titanium and the Andis Profile, plus other quite aggressive twin file shavers. Now I say aggressive because they are quite aggressive, but being aggressive means that they shave close. Now some guys are going to be able to get away with using this as a sole head shaver, their only head shaver from start to finish, or even using it for facial shaving, where other guys are only going to be able to get away with using it as a touch-up tool, a touch-up shaver. A great use case is if this is too aggressive, and it is for me on the face, on doing a facial shave. If it is too aggressive, then a great use case is doing a head shave with a rotary shaver, dedicated rotary shaver like this Phillips, and then where there's leftovers, you know, that fine stubble, is using this Aberlite on top of that then. So if this shaver wouldn't suit you as a head shaver on its own, then it has the potential to still be a great touch-up shaver. So a bit about the features and design. So the body of this is kind of aluminium. It feels quite solid, yeah. It's quite solid and heavy, so I kind of like the feel of it. Now as you'll see, it has these deep grooves around the side of it, so we can kind of grip our fingers in there to use it for when we're shaving our head, or suppose we can use it this way as well, putting our fingers there and gripping it or holding it around the back of our head. But I'll show all that in the demo shave anyway. Now as I've already said, this is a twin file shave, and you'll notice that one file stands out more than the other file underneath it. That's kind of standard really with these twin file shavers. Now the cassette on this is easy enough to take off. If you looked at the side of there's kind of like a gap, and we can put our thumbnail in there and prise it off. If that's tricky in any way, we can also use this brush. This brush has a little noggin on there, and that kind of fits into that slot there and prizes off the file cap. Once the file cap's off, we've got 2 oscillating blades that inside there. These can be taken off quite easily. Look, you can pop them off for cleaning purposes, and they pop back on easily enough, he says. Does it pop back on easy enough? If I had better light, it would. There we go. Now if we compare the size of these files on this compared to a normal facial shave, you'll see like a Braun Series 9 Pro there. Compared to that, the files are a lot larger, which really in one way is pretty good for the task at hand for this, for maybe doing fades or for head shaving. Having a wider file area is going to cover more area. A lot of you guys like the USB type charging cords to be used these days, and that's what this has. It has a little section there, a port should I say, where we stick the cord inside there, and it's USB type charging. Now one thing we have to be cautious of, see this has no cover on it, so Aberlite do state that when we're cleaning it, to make sure that doesn't get wet. I don't know why they haven't put, you know, like a kind of rubber bung that can be pressed in on there and covered for when it's not being charged. That would be useful. Now back to the cassette. Now the cassette is fairly easy to take off, but I do find this slightly flimsy somewhat, and I wonder about how taking it on and off regular, if this kind of would wear in some way and become loose. I don't know, I've not experienced it yet, but it's just a thought that I have. Now I quite like the type of heads that you get on the Braun Series 9 and Braun Series 8. They have a kind of pushing design there. You push it and it just clips off easily. I'd like to see that design. However, the Braun Series 9 is pretty much quite a lot more expensive than what this costs, 3 or 4 times the amount. On the top of the shave we have the power button. I think that's nicely out the way, that is, so you're not going to get any issues of pressing it on and off by accident. That's pretty cool, that's fine. And if you hold that button, we'll notice that it will power up, and then we'll get a segmented indicator of how much charge is left. You'll see that I have just over half left. I've used this a good few times, and we get around about 2.5 hours runtime, which is yeah, that's quite a lot of head shaves, isn't it? And I've used it, as I said, a good few times now, and we're down to about half of that. And if we're just using it for touching up takes a couple of minutes, doesn't it? So I mean, we get a load of uses out of one charge. We can use this shaving wet or dry. I've not used it shaving wet, and I have no plan to do that. It's IPX6 rated, which I mean, it can't be submersed in water, but we can use it shaving wet, and it can take a certain amount of force of water sprayed at it. That's what IPX6 means, but it's not IPX7, so you can't go into the swimming pool and go a meter down and start head shaving with this. One thing you might need to be aware of is that these file type of shavers are much noisier than a rotary shaver. I mean, you may not be able to tell with the sound of the video recording here, but it's quite loud. But that's pretty standard with any of the electric shavers that are file style, even the higher end shavers like the Braun and Panasonic Arc 5 and 6. They're quite noisy shavers as well. That just about covers the features and design. So let's grab myself a mirror and get some shaving done. Now I'm going to cover 3 use cases here. One is going to be just having a head shave after having a trim with this Remington. So now I'm down to that level there of hair, as you'll see there. Let's go around the back and show you the back area. As you'll notice, I don't have much hair on the top. It's very fine, but that's the reason why I head shave, is to get a nice smooth all over complete bald look. So what I'm going to do is shave with one side of my head with just this Aberlite. With what hair I have left there, I'm just going to use this Aberlite. The other side, what I'm going to do is use a dedicated head shaver, this Philips Head Shaver Pro, and I'm going to shave that down with that, and then finish off with the Aberlite. And the next thing I'm going to do, just for testing purposes or demonstration for you guys, is do a facial shave and see how we get along with that. But I do think it's best that I cover just a shave alone with this on my head, because then we get to see what I think of it just as a head shaver alone. Then also with a dedicated head shaver and using it as a finishing tool. Now Aberlite recommends the way of shaving with these is because we have one file there that stands up higher than the other, is that on our usual shaving routine we shave that way, but if we want to cut in any areas, like say close to ears, we turn this around, then put the blade that protrudes more, use that first. And so far that seems to be the right way for me to use it, how I get along with it best. Okay, let's crack on. A few seconds to start it up. You can see I'm holding it with my fingers in between there. That's the method I'm using here at the moment. The files are staying close to the scalp, so that's pretty good. There's no kind of overlap there at all. And let's try it like that for around the back of the head, and let's go around the back of the head for you guys. Let's show how it goes, let's show how it works. That feels a bit weird, it's kind of a bit wobbly like that. It's not the best, it doesn't feel like the best way for me to hold it. Now I have them bumps on the back of my head here, you might not be able to see that clearly, but I have these bumps here. Now this is where file shavers don't seem to perform as well. This is finding it challenging to remove all that hair at the back. Okay, I got there eventually, the back of the head. It took a little while though, didn't it? Feeling around some patches now that I have left. But it's razor close in most parts, apart from some very slight patches that I can clear up. Let's get around the ears properly. Struggling there with a couple of hairs, isn't it? But I think the growth that I had was slightly long for this, even though I'd used a trimmer first. Yeah, it's struggling to pick up them last few hairs there, but I'll go over that afterwards. Right, but I don't have that sandpapery feel there, that which I will get with a dedicated head shaver or rotary shaver. But let's use the Phillips now on this side and then use the Aberlite afterwards. Now this is just so much easier for me to use, especially the back of the head. Here, watch this around the back of the head. It's much easier. And going across these lumps that I have here, I think they call it an inion or something like that, where the skull meets there. So the back of the head is pretty much done with that Phillips, a lot easier. You just have the right ergonomics, the right design, all that, you know, the way these blades fold in that way, and there's a larger blade area, and the ergonomics, everything just works much better. But what we're losing is the closeness. Let's try around with the ear with this. Nothing left over. Let's go over that where I've got a few hairs here and see if this Phillips gets rid of them. No, just one hair there. That is extremely strong. That hair must be full of vitamins and minerals. It's still there. No, that's just, that hair does not want to go. Okay, we're probably round about done then. Right, okay, so the finish with the Phillips, as I'd expect, a slight, light, fine sandpapery feel there, and a little bit round the back of the head, but I don't know if you can see, is there much difference in the finish there? But anyway, let's say that I just want to get that little bit closer now, so let's put the Aberlite, or give the Aberlite a go on them slight bits of stubble. That's it, gets it extremely close now. Okay, around the back of the head again. I don't have much stubble there actually, but maybe slightly there. Okay, I'd say that we're done there then. So that was pretty obvious what the results are there. Yeah, get a nice close head shave there, but it's tricky because of the design, the ergonomics. However, the other side with the Phillips, very easy, but we just don't get the finish. Let's see if most of the debris is collected inside this head section, inside the file, rather than going on my shirt. Let me have a look at my shirt afterwards. Yeah, there's plenty of the debris that is inside there. Get rid of that. And on my shirt, I'm not seeing much on there at all. Yeah, not much there at all. Right, so let's give this a whirl on my face then. I'm not that happy to use this type of shaver on my face because quite aggressive. However, for testing purposes or demonstration purposes, let's give it a go. Oh, and I've got, this is the second day of growth. This is because, yeah, my last video was on the Philips i9000 Prestige and Prestige Ultra versus the Philips S9000 shaver. So yeah, it's about 2 days ago I did this. So let's see how we get on. It's what I call the same as the Andy's profile. It's like a lawnmower on the face. But you know, if you want to get close to get rid of the hair, that's what this type of tool does. You can hear it there, chewing the hair off my face. This is where it won't feel comfortable to me and it will create irritation, is the neck area. Unless I shave with the grain rather than against the grain, then I'm not going to get a close shave, so there'd be no point in using an aggressive shave like this. Let's turn that around and get under the nose there. Oh, blimey. That is a roughish shave. Put it down close. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'm having to scrub the same areas a little bit too much. I'm getting a pretty close shave there, but the next side it's getting pretty red there. Yeah, that's a bit too much for my neck, that is. Yeah, it's not gonna, I'm not gonna be using that very often to shave my face with. Some guys with a bit more tougher type of skin might get away with that and be fine. Right, so that's about it, guys. So it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? As a touching up tool, absolutely excellent after using a dedicated head shaver. Yeah, very good close head shave, but a bit tricky around the back area and a bit slower than a dedicated head shaver, but the end result is closer. As a facial shaver, a bit too rough for me, but still has the potential to touch up if there's some leftover hairs on the sideburns or something like that. So I guess the bottom line is Aberlite say that this is a good touch-up tool, and yeah, that's exactly what it is, with the potential to be your go-to head shaving tool. Do look out for future reviews. I'm going to be doing a review of this Babyliss Titanium. I've used this a good few times, but do a review about that, for that, a video for it. Also, an interesting one's going to be this Lathan. I forget the rest of the name of it, but that's the product's brand's name, Lathan. Anyways, that's another file shaver that you can use for head shaving. If you want to take a look at any of the other head shave reviews that I've done, there's a bunch of them in the links below in the description that you can take a look at. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a great day.